Light work never been hard. Easy, yeah, you know we got scars. Following signs and following stars. Following ceiling, following hearts. You can do it when you want to, yeah, no rush. Life is amazing, life is enough. You know where you stand when you know your stuff. You know how it goes when you know your... Do it like the rest, do it different, put it to the test. Just live this stuff, I don't flex. Don't need to say you're the best. I was born to do this, maybe yes. Find your thing and do your best. Say more to me, don't say less. Lay it out, yeah, be my guest. Cause I know how it gets. Let's meet up, make a plan. I'm glad that you understand. And we're sharing things in the way we can. I say to myself all the time, life is mad, do it properly, Jan. Be there for everyone, all you can. It's real, you know that you got me, man.
Finally get paid for the get down. You can't tell me now about time. Do you know how many lines I done put down? Vibes I done sent out. But we in here to dig all up the market till they come red carpet and kids. Success still the target. Soon I'll be crossing that bridge. But can't bring everybody with me, family only. I got some people think I owe a favor, barely know me. That's why my focus on the road, it's all I know. I see them sticking close to play the wall and watch my growth. Cause I got something they never had. So get on the beat and I need a helipad. I float, I'm fly, you know where I'm from, so it comes as no surprise. I just out with a mean vernacular, dream spectacular. I keep a queen and passenger, FL capital Y. Anywhere I am, jam, that's for sure. Turn me on, better set the mood from the door. That's just how it goes.
Glad I've been keeping it playing so long. Out here in this world, I feel it ain't a place that I could roam. But ain't nothing like you when I'm at home. It ain't nothing like you when I'm at home.
That's why I came out stepping. I can't be doing things regular for you. I want the magic to last. I know how time try and ruin things. It get repetitive, got you tempted to doing things. I can't get reckless without you, wouldn't be no music thing. Plus, remember, we made promises way back then. And I still owe that 5-bed house with 2-3 kids. We got a fairy tale plan that's gonna change up the order they sort the mail in. Plus, I know loyalty not as valued as what it was. We not influenced by what they do, cause it's only us. I still hear poetry when I'm looking into them eyes. I still get lost in the thought of you with so much to find. And yeah, you know you fine, but still I must remind that we
feel like it's over and nothing else matters. I know you feel so divided. Pick yourself up again and you better start walk, girl. Open up your steppy, hear you talk, girl. You have come too far to give it up now, even though it seems there's no way out. Take a look in the mirror now, what do you see? You can be anything you want to be, you know. You will never be alone. Girl, go make your move. There's nothing left to prove. I know that you will find your love again. Don't be ashamed to cry. Hold your head up high. I know that love will save the day. When you feel like you're stranded at the edge of the world, I know you've been taken for granted. Give some love to yourself and you better start walk, girl. Open up your step and hear you talk, girl. You have come too far to give it
last tonight, didn't think I would get hooked. You fill me in without a fight, now floating in the air. When you're looking at me.
Acts as that backbone for the old man team here, and I think we need to be careful of saying that this isn't the TSE roster, this is TSE old men.
Yes.
Which I think is a collection of like their managers and a couple of friends and other things like that here. The actual TSE roster I think is doing quite well to my knowledge. Whereas Delta X, again, an org with, I think, a newish team, if I remember, from what I can recall. I think they signed a few players in 2025. There's a slight variation in the roster names for this one. I'm not sure if they are different players or if they're the same players with just different people. But they have Space and Krish stepping in to the normal core of Solo, Kolbs and Akira, and that's something that we get to look forward to as we head into the map bans.
There we go. We're going to be seeing a new one. It was close to it being bind or split as well, but by the end stage, it will be Haven. Haven, one of those longer maps, one of those that are a lot more recognized, and the only three-sided map that we currently have in the pool, of course, aside from Lotus, which isn't in the comp pool as of the moment, but an exciting one to say the least. I do wonder between these two teams, though, right? We have Delta X, a bit more established. I'm imagining they're going to be leaning in towards the comp, but TSE Old Men, he said with all that time comes knowledge and experience. I wonder if they're going to be maybe resorting back to some of the older metas, older comps, Fnatic, Euro maybe even.
Yeah, maybe. There's certainly a possibility, but I imagine TSC old men are probably going to default to their kind of comfort epics and things like that and be like, I'm comfortable on these agents here, we'll go from that pool. And I think they might just try and rely on a couple of mechanical players to kind of get through there. Again, it will be interesting to see how Delta X is going to factor in things like their utility play. Obviously, we saw from the previous series, there were a few question marks lingering over utility play, especially in certain cases. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out, especially on, like you said, a bigger map like Haven, where there are far more. There's an extra bomb site, and teams end up kind of sitting there being like, well, do we only defend 2, or do we split all of our manpower across all 3? I imagine we might see a couple more rushes. As you know, if you can get a good read onto an empty site and you kind of just rush forward and go and smash it, even if not, the default spread is going to be what, maybe a 2-2-1 or a 3-1-1, depending on how you split your defense. These aggressive attacking sided plays are going to probably play a lot of dividends here, and that's probably what I'm going to be keeping my eye out for.
100%. Again, positions around Haven, they carry a lot of importance. There's no doubt there. But again, we're only looking towards what TSEA Old Men are going to do here, because they are facing, again, someone that has much more experience than them. The managers, the friends, they've mostly watched TSE. I assume they've been kind of in the background. I'm imagining they're caught up to the Valorant scene as well, but I doubt they're proactive. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe they're all immortal and are going to pop off more than we ever could have imagined, but I guess we're going to leave that out of question. We are going on to Haven again. I think this is a map where I'm imagining we're going to see initiators such as the Sova, such as much more a lot more towards that double duelist again position as well. And right now, speaking of the agents, let's get over to them and see what exactly is going to be in play. And it doesn't surprise me that we see Omen, Yoru, Neon. Actually, this is very standard.
Yeah, very much so. And yeah, I don't really have much more to add.
Yeah.
This does look like what we're probably coming to expect from the main metas here. The Sova, the Yoru, the Omen coming back into play here. The Neon, the Killjoy, that's her name, nearly forgot it. Those kind of operators here, the kind of standard fare, a couple of rotations here and there. You know, you might see an Astra in place of something like an Omen or the Killjoy potentially. Maybe some teams like to flex onto a Cypher. We might have seen the Waylay instead of the Neon. I think that's kind of the big thing here. But at current, both teams hovering or have locked in very similar comps, barring the Sentinel picks.
Yeah, there isn't much of a difference. The only two things that, again, as mentioned, are swapped is going to be the Sentinels. Now, normally also around this time, teams or players specifically do try to filter out if it's either going to be the Killjoy, if it's going to be the Cypher at times as well. But no, for old men, they're going to go with the Chamber, which I heavily respect. The Chamber has been finding a lot of success in today's matches, and maybe this is going to be their way of overtaking Delta X and finding their first victory. Maybe doubtful, but again, we can never know until we get into the action as Haven is ready, set to go. And well, let's see what these two teams have to bring for us. Again, Delta X, they've only lost to one team. I do wonder who that team was, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We might have to go and have a look-see and see how this goes as we enter the first round here. I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis maybe put on this Chamber here. Like we said, we're going to question whether or not how well the utility is going to play out in this series. So, is Chamber just going to be that for? Are we going to have 3 duelists on the side of TSC Old Men here? I think it's certainly possible, especially if it's like kind of one of those comfort picks and they go forward and just go and try and frag out and win mechanically rather than utility here. It'll be curious to see, as the C side is currently left straight open and ready for Delta X to move on to if they wish and want to go fast.
Yep, and all 5 players are ready to send it forward. We have that drone. The Sova drone coming out, Spade just clearing it out. There's going to be the King Crash right into the hands of Cobbles. Quite unfortunate, but this allows the great entry, right? You've cleared the one player who was supposedly to be the gatekeeper of this site. Now the rest are going to be locked outside for the moment being. Smokes are set down to also deny any entry or at least comfortable entry at that. But now, Delta X, they clearly hold the advantage.
They do, but this TSC team are really looking to have this flank watch here, but Akira silences sort of 2 players on the top thing. So if there is going to be a pinch, it doesn't really matter because they're going to face a full force.
Last player standing.
There we go. Solo going to clean things up. I took a look at who Delta X was. The only team they lost again, I do believe it's called PUBG.
Oh, okay. Nice. I think PUBG are covered next, potentially, or the game after. They are covered on the stream today, I know that much. So it'll be good to see them. But they're very interesting. It's not a team that I thought they would have potentially lost to, but you know what, where credit's due. That round, yeah, Delta X shot their way to victory. I liked the idea TSC were doing, but just too slow on the execution.
Yeah, couldn't catch up. Now we have the recon dart incoming. Akira's going to step back, put his Marshall back, go for the shot, and the instant shootout. Untitleable is going to fall. That's your Neon gone. It is the defensive as well, so you don't really need that aggression unless you're going to be, Cobbles, just unstoppable around that garage, finds one. And well, considering the guns that TSC Old Men have, they clearly reflect on the result as 2 more players here to fight back against the 5 stack here by Delta X that is just unrelenting. Solo with another Mia falls. Luis, the last one in a flawless round for Delta X, but to brighten it up, TSC Old Men, they didn't put much of an investment in this round either way.
No, very much, and that's 2 flawlesses on the trot for Delta X. I'm sensing this may become a trend.
Maybe.
That, you know, I wonder if there's been a game where you could go with no kills on one side. I think that would be a statement.
I think if it were to ever happen, this would be the match.
This could very much be, and I'm curious to see it here.
Move.
The one thing I don't want to see is Delta X lose focus and start, I guess, playing with their food a bit. This still needs to be treated as such.
Oh, wow.
The movement tech and opens up with 2 shots.
Oh, that bittersweet is just not looking good. Like you said it, you don't want to see it, but here we are, Delta X, literally playing with their food. Krish with a backstab onto Exor to finish off the round. We have barely had 3 rounds, and it already shows the difference between these two teams.
Yeah, this could be a very, very quick affair here. But yeah, just to kind of bring it back onto that point we were making is that if you're Delta X, you can't afford, because if they'll win this match, let's be fair, they'll win this match.
Yeah.
But you can't then have the attitude going next that, oh, you know, we trashed them 13-0, whatever. It can make them complacent. It can start to make things like escapes can start to step in.
Yes.
And then if you sit there and play a game against a team that have a bit more competency, you then might even lose to them and be like, well, you know, maybe that's what happened with Pub A.
Maybe. You don't want to get greedy. You don't want that to get into your head. That's a certainty. And I'm hoping they do realize who they're facing. Again, TSE Old Men. They're not competitive prodigies. They're just a couple of fun players looking to step it up. And Sandra, even confused, thought he got shot from his back line. In the end, though, he's able to regain that in motion. XR will find the opening kill here. TSE Old Men seem to be fighting back, but only for a certain amount. Akira Solo setting things back straight. Cobbles with another slides in to find an extra victim for the judge. Pulled out the pistol, and to be fair, XR did find 2 kills, so it's not going to be all nils on TSE Old Men.
No, very much so. And I think, you know, a bit of fair play to him for managing to get those kills when he did. Getting the operator back out now as well, so, you know, maybe we'll see a couple more flashes from them. But Delta X, just finding the opening, reading which site's open, and they're just pushing forward and grabbing it and taking it for free. Again, the tactical nuances here aren't going to be the main event. I think it's very much going to be watching and seeing how the gunplay kind of plays out and see how techy these guys can really get.
It is mostly just Delta X kind of shooting them down. Cobbles though. Now once more on an entry, but Mia, really good expectation. I've been loving Mia's playstyle, even earlier with the blind around Garage, expecting the play from Delta X, and that's a really good adaptation. Another one, Space Falls, and now it looks like Delta X have lost the grasp over this round. Might be the first, and maybe even only, I'd hope so not, TSE Old Men round.
Yeah, very much. You saw the play of Cobbles there, kind of running forward, getting caught out in the middle of a utility. Akira catches a jib on the cross. I think these are going to be important lessons of making sure that if you're going to use that utility, you know, you expend to get the right point here. And ideally, if you're going to be vulnerable like that, you probably need to have a backup player to act as cover.
Oh!
Spike down. C.
Removes Krish's head.
Whoa, Sandra, didn't know you had it in you.
Standing.
And Untitleable is going to find Akira. Now, it's all down to the 4v1 solo. What a prominent player. All of Delta XR, to be quite fair. Paranoid going to be sent out. UTP onto window, but there's enough time for the Neon to slide in. Do we get the kill? No! Just way too many missed shots. Pass on by. The Sheriff finds its way onto the kill feed, but with 14 seconds and a 1v2, it might just be next to impossible.
10 seconds
Trying to
left.
get things going for yourself. There will be the ultimate from the shadows onto that B site. A second smoke placed down just to bait him out, but there's one around the corner, and Sonder, even though his sacrifice might have looked in vain, he wasted just about enough time to get TSE Old Men the opening ground.
Yeah, very much. And, you know, fair play to Old Men. They managed to stem the tide, get the kills where they could. And like you said, they wasted enough time there that Delta X weren't able to capitalize on any refrags coming back from Solo there. I think maybe if Solo stepped up the pace a bit, they probably could have. They probably should have sought to find that kill. They know that they can shoot better.
Yes.
I think that's ultimately, you need to trust in your own ability here. They know that they can shoot better. Just move forward and then take the kills as you can.
We're going to be having a slight technical difficulty. Just going to get that resolved. Small headset issues tends to happen, but whatever the case, we got to give credit. Again, TSE Old Men, a team that, honestly, I think, again, like we said it in motion, one of the teams that could have had no kills, now got a round.
Yeah, very much so. And it's a kill across most of the boards. Everyone bar Jim.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Like, there's been a few kills here. You know, we highlighted Mia sitting there anticipating the waylay
Yes.
play that came through, making sure that they stepped in and took the fight, knowing that that utility's going up, the Neon is vulnerable. So there are good stepping stones and good signs here that, you know, TSC old men are displaying here. So it'll be interesting to see as we head back into round, I can't do maths, 6.
Correct. Us casters in math just don't go along well.
I just, yeah, unideal. I can't count. But I can count individual numbers, and it's 4-1 to the side of Delta X. Now, here's the question. Do they let any more rounds slip away, or is this it?
I don't know, we're going to find out soon. X are holding a nasty peak. Almost consider it a pixel there. We'll back off, but in the meanwhile, the rest of Delta X have started playing a bit more passively. They seem to have been affected by the prior round and don't want to allow TSC Old Men to get any more rounds than needed. The shot was real close. Good reaction, but the Jiggle Peak catches him off. Now Entitleable, right around the core of Sewer. Find himself contested quite soon, but a Bulldog can't win against Akira's Vandal, who bites just that much harder. Exor returns the favor opposite side of the map, however, as Solo takes the fall. But Delta X have been good. They've been building up their utility, they've been building up their ultimates most importantly, but when it comes down to guns, they will prevail in most if not all scenarios, especially going into this round. Cobbles, and of course one prior to it, Delta X standing 2 players above. Sander getting close, Jabu is there, at least finding the refrag. What a 1v3, and I think we both know where this is heading.
Yeah, very much so here. It's going to be a bit of a mission here for Jib to try and find their way back onto the site and find the kills here, but this is going to be a test of Delta X, making sure they've got all the possible angles covered. As we see that 2 of these players are kind of going on a bit of a road here, so down to Akira, locking down. This was probably the most anticipated route of entry back onto the site here, and finishes the job, and that moves Delta X Esports up to 5-1.
Yeah, this half is going to be about as brutal as you can imagine. I do like the fact that TSC Old Men shook up Delta X enough where they're not just constantly rushing in anymore. They felt the prime of TSC Old Men back all the way when they were still, I don't know, probably they probably never were competitive players, I'll be honest, but they still got around. Delta X don't want to have themselves a quick match though, especially because again, this is groups back to back to back to back, not much of a break, and you want to have a breather sometimes, and getting as quick of a match in as you can allow it.
Yeah, 100%, especially if Delta X kind of goes quickly here, as they do have this aggression here, and Akira, Cobbles and Mia exchanging kills apiece there. Not quite sure what happened there, but Delta X Esports have solidified their position on the city site unless Untiltable can have anything to say. There's a dark space, finds one, and kills go either way, and we end up in a 1v2 situation favoured on the side of Delta X.
Extra baited out. The TP from the Omen keeps him alive for now, but they do recognize where he stands, and a tour de force swinging it into Solo with an op ready. Trigger happy as well, 6-1. Delta X with a good beginning, and some of the players as well, Solo and Cobbles standing out. We do have TSC Old Men as well. Mia, I think, has been doing quite great. I hope that Mia and Exar can start pulling off more of the plays that they've been kind of looking to put into fruition, because again, they have attempted to adapt to Delta X in the past.
Yeah, very much, and like, you know, it's not even like this is, I wouldn't even say TSC Old Men are necessarily getting run over.
Yeah,
they're getting bullied, sure, but this is not necessarily, I think, the shellacking that we thought we would see. And you know, you just got to be careful with Delta X here as they go try to have an engagement in the smoke. Here is better for it.
Sonder looked to make something of it. Honestly, got quite close, and we have to give it to him, but extra heavy damage is going to spray those bullets back to center and dip out that instant. They do set on back. Solo, they're still trying to hold his stronghold, and Delta X in general have the plant on down comfortably. TSC Old Men, 4 players, 2 ults, one of those used. Dimensional Drift now in action, but there's still flanking coming from the Neon, spotted out by the wall being set up. Solo trying to read that a bit better, and Mia passes on through, gets over with that gate crash. The rest of Delta X, though, are going to do what they've been doing best and gun down the remnants.
Not really much more to add to that, is there? 7-1. And again, if you're Delta X, as we've kind of alluded to, this is much more an exercise of execution, fundamentals, making sure that you're not slipping in any position here. And so far, it's been fairly tight. It's not been perfect, but it's been tight. Certainly good elements there of teamwork. Obviously, their gun skill is on display for us all to see here. We can't really question that. And it's going to be good to see how far Delta X go, especially if you've got players like Akira who we highlighted, and see how well they go as the Sova ult comes in here trying to catch any damage onto anyone here. Cobblers is looking to set up their entrance on towards the site.
Covers himself nicely, but the rest are going to back off, and with all this A pressure, even though TSC find themselves at least the kill onto space, the site has been left on open, and the entry here, undeniable. Cobble's holding a strong position in the flank, finds one, wallbangs for the second, but Solo to finish the job. Killjoy popped in reverse, though. This lockdown might be able to keep TSC Oldman away for just an extra moment, but it's not like there needs to be a fear of it. Cobbles, I'm imagining they're tempted with the knife. I know they're going to go for it. The shorty as well, but which one's going to sting more? Untiltable turns around the turret that he is and puts Cobbles right where he deserves. As a 1v3 maybe. The round might be lost, but I'd say the war of mental is won by Untiltable.
I have to agree. What did I say? Don't give away freebies. Don't play with your food. Because things like that happen, and there's going to be a situation there where that player is going to do the exact same thing against a tighter opponent, and that results in a round loss. We can't be... I get it's a LAN, I get it's fun, and obviously, you know, there's no fear from Delta X here that they're going to lose this round, or this match. But, you know, habits are a thing that can kill teams, and you don't want to see that being put in jeopardy just because you want a funny knife kill and a bit of BM for gaining nothing.
That's a good point. But, I mean, Delta X, they do have their free will this match. Maybe in any following matches where their opposition is going to be a bit more equal to their current level, maybe they're not going to be able to walk around as freely and shoot as they please. But right now, even then, TSC are still having good beginnings at certain moments. They got the opening here. Now they're still playing with save. Solo does find the reevaluation on the man count. Space holding down Jib. To imagine this is going to go down quite scrappily. But the attacking side very spread apart. Again, it's just Delta realizing they can win their ones. They're going to go and take those, but for now, a lot more passiveness.
Yeah, this is a very sort of passive look from Delta X here. Not something that we've seen throughout most of this series here. But as we see, Cobble's made a move there but lost to the gun of Jib. And sometimes experience is better as Space managed to avenge their fallen teammate, and we're on a 3v3 here. With their pressure looking towards the head, still towards A.
Couple of shots go both ways. The op goes missed. Pistol pulled up, but Solo has a secondary of his own. Shorty put to use, op back in hands. A mixture of close and far range. Smoke out heaven. Get that plant down as soon as you can, but the Sova still needs to lock it. There's a couple of missed shots. Now you know where the position of that player is. XR finds Krish, and a Paranoia sent down towards A long. Now the final two players crossing out the A site. Just have to take correct guesses. Space finds Sonder, and all that remains is going to be XR. A hero here to say the least. Headhunter popped for a moment, but in a 1v2, seems like it's going to be a bit of desperation. Maybe keeping that op alive for another round could be the play. Not going to happen. Solo finishes it up, and another round for Delta X.
I don't mind the fact that they went for it, to be honest. I think that was probably a better attempt there. They had kind of a health advantage. If you took the health of all the players, it was equivalent to a 1v1 anyway. I just query whether or not you should have really been swinging that with a scoped weapon.
Yeah.
I think maybe there were a couple weapons lying around, or even if you just had your pistol out, you could have swung that with an unscoped weapon and maybe had a better chance to spray and catch a couple ticks of damage onto them, which would have been enough to put down at least one of the players.
I'm out of here.
They didn't do it. Hopefully they're going to learn from that mistake, but as the current moment, TSC Oldmen are taking an aggressive upfront themselves. Untiltable, and another, the dual system now pushing forward, but only to be punished by Krish. A valid attempt, commendable at the very least, but Delta X are going to take that, punish them at full, as the rest of TSC Oldmen still get a couple of shots in them. They time has not passed them by. Mia with a great one to take out Fish. Akira, though, with a nice, nasty wallbang, takes out Jib, and all of a sudden, he's the old man back to where they have been for the majority of the match. A couple of players down and time taken against them.
Yeah, with this spike being planted,
One enemy remaining.
It's good to see that obviously Delta X putting all this emphasis on making sure that they go forward and are playing the team in front of them. So if they're giving them the space to go forward, securing the site, and then sitting there as Mia looked to rack up a few kills but was cut short by Akira. Caught me monologuing.
Last round before the switch.
Yeah, they're good at sort of finding an empty space and making sure that they take it. They're not hanging around, they're not umming and ahhing, kind of going all do we, don't we. They're being like, right, the site's free, let's just go and take it, get a spike down as soon as we can, because that then changes the whole momentum of the game of putting all the time pressure back onto the defense.
Even then, here's the old man, they still find a couple of rounds. They still not only won, but some of these rounds have gotten close, down to 1v2s or such. A surprising amount of them, but even though Delta X have found the results, and yes, again, they are the expected winner of this outcome, TZ Old Men are giving it all they got, and that's very respectable. With all this information, it's going to be the duality of that gate crash, or rather the dimensional drift incoming cobbles is going to find the opening contact, and now the entry from Delta X, unstoppable. Seems like they've already gotten everything they wanted. Plan should be down in any second. Owned it in the hands of Akira, which is spraying through the smoke. Takes some damage found, and a kill onto Untiltable as Mia returns it, but not much of matter by this case, unless it will be a catalyst found. But this one Euro in a 1v3, which doubtful.
Yeah, especially when you consider where the positions of Delta X are. They all know where he is. They're on the ramp, and it's going to be a hard task here for Mia to try to push through and find one, let alone two. But they found the one on the solo, but cannot follow up as Cobbles guns them down. And we head into 11-1.
11-1.
Switching sides.
Yeah, at least it's not flawless again. And some of these players, Mia has been doing surprisingly good, by the way. 12 kills, surpassing 2 of the players from Delta X. Maybe we know who to swap out from that roster. Mia could be the prodigy that everyone needs. Who knows? But in general, hey, they've been having a blast. I think they've been having fun. Again, I don't think they came into this knowing or thinking, believing that it was going to be a victory for them. But as long as everyone's just here to have fun, Delta X as well, I doubt they're really showing off everything they have. Probably reserving themselves for the following matchup, which will be a bit more difficult.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like you said, it's all a bit of fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I imagine TSC Old Men are kind of sitting there. They're having some chats with each other, I imagine. I don't think they're taking this too seriously here. As we see the side swaps, we're going to see whether or not TSC Old Men are any better on the attack, and they are. Well, it's a good start as they find an open frag.
Sadly, continuation not going to be so much theirs. Chris there to pick off Xar. And, well, dip as if they were never there. Delta X going to nicely coop up around this mid. Oh, God, Krish, that is not going to look the best on a resume, especially when Mia's on your 6. TSC Old Men once more, scales tipped in their favor. Sonder there to double down on that. And will this be yet another round which TSC Old Men gain for the count? Gain that, show that, you know what, wisdom and knowledge and age can still prevail at certain moments.
You know how we highlighted Delta X's gunplay?
Yes.
Spike
Right, we should
planted.
probably just change that to Akira's gunplay.
Yeah.
Last player
Yes,
standing.
definitely.
Given certain situations that have occurred, maybe we just scrap the whole idea as TSC Old Men find another round in, honestly, kind of convincing fashion there.
Yeah, there was not... It was pistols, and again, Delta X were very spread. They were playing very disjointed. But TSC Old Men, they got the round nonetheless, and they played it really well. They got their entry onto the site. They had everything in control. Even then, they were still finding the openings. I like how their setup was, again, leave the chamber behind around mid to watch their flank as the rest go and take over the site. It was a well-planned attack.
Yeah, it certainly did, and you know, maybe it pays dividends to the fact that obviously they're part of one of the better teams here.
Seems like for a moment it was looking good. Flash doesn't come out as triumphing as wanted, but Mia still finds at least one before that entire push is shut on down. Space with another one, leaving the final two to stand. Spike in their hands, but Untiltable wants to push themselves through. Sonder picks off Solo.
Spike down.
1v3.
C.
A lonely one. Sonder. Low on HP, spike in hand, yes, not much utility, does have those 2 smokes to limit out the vision, but Spacer passes, finds the Thrifty, and the match point for Delta X.
Yeah, the penultimate round that was.
Match point.
And I just had a thought. Do you reckon they deliberately lost so they could get a friendly round? Is that a thing that's done?
I don't feel like a. I mean, a
feel like
Thrifty
it
does give you some credit, but there's. I feel like Delta X could get more credit or like rep by doing other things.
I agree. Yeah, that's fair.
And also, I don't want to take away from TSC Old Men.
Oh,
but
100%. 100%. Because, to be fair, we saw it live, that Delta X were missing shots.
Yeah.
And it was very uncharacteristic of a team as Cobble. They tries to right that wrong by finding Exile in the opener.
Delta Bolt, dangerous position. Krish almost letting them slip on by, but now Quarter, a great opportunity, but it does go past as Mia's the only one who was able to find anything going on for TSC Old Men. Sadly, the 8 surpasses. The Youngins will win, and Delta X will find themselves a quick 13-2, which is the score we've been presented to with today, and honestly, it was to be expected. I'm not really surprised by this, but Mia, was Mia the best player in the lobby?
It certainly looked like it. No, because they swapped, remember? So they were on attacker. So I think it was
for a moment it looked like Mia was like the MVP of the match.
Yeah, very much. But looking at that scoreboard, wasn't it a green and then all a bunch of reds?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, barring probably Akira,
okay,
who I imagine was probably kill leader, and we saw in that match, did that mean that according to this, that the rest of TSC Old Men outperformed the rest of Delta X based on the game engines?
No, I think that it was Mia that was on top. Then it was
then all of
Delta X, and then it was Old Men.
Either way, somebody sign Mia.
Somebody, please.
Somebody sign Mia is what we're saying.
We need to find them. This is a prodigy.
This is maybe. But we highlighted it. It wasn't going to be a close affair, but I think there's a bit of pleasant surprise. It didn't go as far as I think either one of us wanted it to go. We were hoping maybe for a bit more sneaky plays,
intricacies.
Yeah. I think maybe that could have served TSC Old Men if they hid behind corners and boxes and pulled out things that normal teams just wouldn't expect because it's not how we play the game. Maybe they could have caught them off guard a few more times.
Maybe they could have, but they did their best, and that's what matters. Sadly, it will be quite the opposite of a flawless run from them. They've been going flawless and losing. That's something to put on the record, but in general, they've been giving it their best. I feel like they're just like, I don't know, like a sunshine to the community. They're literally here just to have fun.
Yeah, 100%. I think sometimes that's what the world needs. Is a few old geezers to have some fun.
Exactly. But we are going to be cutting it to a break. Again, this was a fast match. We have one more upcoming, many more upcoming, but there's going to be another one right around the corner. So stick around. It's going to be here in about 12 minutes, give or take. We're going to cut it to a short break, get something to refreshen yourself up, and stay tuned.